With Rachel V. Hill, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Bo Nix, the future is finally here. I tweeted it out yesterday with like an emotional emoji as I'm sitting at Empower Field watching this kid run down the field and score. And I'm so happy because it really is the future. Will Peterson, how are you, my friend? I'm so pumped to be talking Bo Nix today.
Yeah, I'm great, Rachel. I mean, how could you not be great after what we witnessed last night at Empower Field at Mile High? I mean, the future's here. Like you said, the future is here. It's the most fluid the Broncos offense has looked since a guy named Peyton Manning was the quarterback. I understand Drew Lock had those 5 good games at the end of 2019 or whatever it was. But all Bo Nix does is put points on the board. I mean, every time he has the football, you feel like, well, we're at least getting 3. We might get 7. It's really exciting right now.
It's so fun to watch, but it does open up the question. And I've actually heard a lot of Drew Lock comparisons, which has been really fascinating, just of the sense, and not like play style or anything, but just of the sense of we won't actually learn anything about Bo Nix until halfway through the season. And I get the conversations people are having around it, but realistic expectations for a guy that played so many years in college, played at Auburn, played at Oregon, comes in 12th overall pick. We saw him go against the second string guys last night. And yeah, his quarterback rating was like 142. That's great. And that excites people. But realistically, Will, what can this year look like for Bo Nix?
Well, I mean, first of all, Drew Lock has held a clipboard the rest of his career. So he did it in Denver. He did it in Seattle. He's probably going to do it in New York. So, 3 different coaching staffs have decided he's a backup in this league. So yeah. I don't think anyone is putting Bo Nix in the backup category. He looks like a full-fledged starter in this league. But I don't understand, or I don't think it's unfair to say he can't match Russell Wilson's numbers from last year and hopefully take half the sacks, right? Russell Wilson had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Let's start there, because if Sean got that much out of Russ, who it was a dysfunctional relationship. They didn't like each other. Russ is stinking it up in Pittsburgh, stunk it up on Saturday night for the Steelers.
What do you think?
Well, real quick, why can't the benchmark be 26-8? Why can't Bo do what Russ did last year? And then anything after that is gravy.
Okay, real quick, though. What did you think when you watched Russ get sacked those 3 times?
Saw a lot of what I saw in Denver, right? He had clean pockets he could have stepped up in. And he's seeing ghosts. He's seeing defenders that don't exist, and he's scrambling into sacks. And I know Justin Fields came in and wasn't great either, but Mike Tomlin always goes 500. Does that streak end this year? It could if he doesn't have a quarterback. And Russell Wilson's closer to be on a TV set somewhere than he is on an NFL sideline. I mean, unless he's willing to swallow all kinds of pride and be a backup the last 2, 3, 4 years of his career, he may be done in the NFL after this season.
It's so weird, just the roller coaster of emotions. And I don't want to spend too much time on Russ, but again, it was like, okay, maybe if he does get traded to Pittsburgh, it is going to be the fresh start. He's finally going to look good. Like him and Sean just aren't meshing. But truthfully, it's just a reality of the fact that Pete Carroll covered up what Russell Wilson struggled at so well that made him look so dang good, like a true Hall of Famer. And I'm still wondering, I'm like, is he going to make it into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, and also I love when Steelers fans tweet out videos of like, this is the guy we're getting, and it's all Seahawks highlights. It's like, guys, he played 2 years in Denver, and when you're 5'10", I know he's listed at 6 feet. I've stood next to the guy. He's 5'10", and you lose your athleticism. That's just not an effective recipe to play into your mid to late 30s or even 40s. I mean, the guys who did that, the Mannings, the Bradys, they had the style of pocket passers that worked. Russ was a magician, and once the magician stuff left, which it really did his last year in Seattle, in retrospect, he never had it in Denver, he was done. He was cooked. So, I lean towards he'll still make the Hall of Fame, but, man, if Pittsburgh blows up in his face, there's only so much damage you can do where the voters will have that more fresh in their mind than the great run he had with the Seahawks.
So true. Okay, back to the future. We're done talking about the past. We're talking about the rookie quarterback who looks so solid for the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix. Back to those realistic expectations. Last night, as we're watching him storm down the field, it was like, okay, this is good. We're seeing him move the ball, but we also know that competition, when it's the first string guys that are out there, gets a little deep. We saw him make the pass where, you were hoping it was his first touchdown. Of course, he's over the line of scrimmage. So we're going to see those rookie mistakes here, Will. But how many of them are acceptable per game for you to walk away this rookie year and say, you know what? Bo Nix looks solid even when it came to the mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, even the penalty last night, I didn't have a problem with. The guy's running with his head up. He's trying to make a play. He's moving north-south, which I think we all appreciate. And I paused it on my TV and tweeted. I don't know if you saw the picture. I mean, we're talking 2 inches, Rachel. So I'm never going to hold it against the guy at a meaningless game that he's trying to make plays. That said, I don't really think he had many mistakes last night other than that. So he's almost setting the bar for himself of like 1 or 2 mistakes a game is what we're going to expect out of Bo Nix. I get it. He played against backups for the Colts. He played against backups for the Packers. Like, we are going to have to see it week 1 in Seattle against a Seahawks team that will obviously play their starters and try to win that game. But, I mean, right now, Bo Nix is not doing himself any favors in the sense of he is setting the bar this high that if he does make 5 mistakes on September 8th, we're going to go, whoa, okay, he is still a rookie, and he very well may. But I think we're all going into expectations of, like, he can throw 3 touchdowns that day and the Broncos can win. Like, I don't think anyone thinks that's unrealistic right now.
Well, and how much do you put into the fact that Sean is game planning really well for Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is just looking like a stud, right? Like, there is a fine line between your quarterback is athletic and he's able to do all of these things, but also your head coach is setting him up for success in different ways. And that's obviously, that leads you to wins, hopefully down the line. It gives you an equation for success. But are we seeing a limited playbook from Sean Payton? He talked about yesterday in his press conference of, we have different play call sheets for each different quarterback, some that they are really liking and that they feel like they've absorbed. And so I'm just curious, when that opens up a little bit more, like, did we see the plays that Bo Nix has been like, you know what, coach, I feel really, really, really good about these, and let's go out and showcase those, compared to on September 8th, where the playbook is going to have to open up a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I don't think you want to give too much away in the preseason. So I think your playbook is always going to be a little more vanilla in games in August than it is in games in September and moving forward. That said, I mean, I think the root of your question is like, is this Sean Payton? Is it Bo Nix? Is it a combo? What is it? Well, the good news is they're both here, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, the old debate, was it Tom? Was it Bill? Like, well, we eventually got our answers, but guess what? Patriots fans don't care. They got 7 Lombardis out of it. So at the end of the day, I don't really care if it's Sean or if it's Bo. I just care about wins because we're so desperate for them. And I do think they complement each other well. I think Bo Nix fits what Sean Payton wants to do perfectly. Mm-hmm. And there is a reason that Bo Nix's name has been uttered in the same sentence as Drew Brees a couple times already by the head coach.
Okay, so usually on Mondays, it's a lovely man by the name of James Marilat, and we call it Marilat Mondays. Unfortunately, under the weather today, so Will is hanging with us. But Will, we both know that our good old friend James is not the biggest Sean Payton fan. Where do you sit right now on Shawnee P?
I mean, am I a fan of Sean Payton, the guy? I don't know. He has his good days and bad days. Like, would I want to go have a latte with the guy? I mean, sure, because he's the head coach of the Denver Broncos, but I don't look at Sean Payton as like, oh, man, we could be great friends. Like, I don't see that happening, but I don't really care. Like, I just want a good football coach, and that's clearly what Sean Payton is. And I think it got lost in the shuffle last year because he dislikes Russ so much that some of the conversations were, oh, has Sean Payton lost it? Was it always all just Drew Brees? I think Sean is proving this preseason, like, no, there's a reason he's still a top 10 head coach in the NFL. And those lists like USA Today that ranked him, like 16th, 17th, that was probably a bit of a disrespectful ranking.
Do you trust him?
As a football coach, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm just checking. I feel like it's 50-50 here in the Mile High City. So I'm curious, actually, for everybody in the comments, let us know. Do you trust Sean Payton's plan? Are you seeing the light at the end of the tunnel that there's finally a quarterback here in Denver that can hopefully take the Broncos back to the playoffs? Let us know in the comments.
Okay, but you got to answer the question now, because do you trust Sean Payton, Rachel?
I do. I unfortunately, last year, if you would ask me at the end of last year, I would have been like, you know what? I just don't think he set up Russell Wilson for success. I don't think he wanted him here to begin with. I've heard more and more stories over the offseason where it was like, he really tried, but would two personalities don't mesh and the different play style and people are running different things, like things aren't going to work out. So I do trust Sean Payton. I think he, like you said, though, he got his guy and they mesh really well together. So we're going to see success. It's like having fun at work, right? If you have fun at work, you're going to produce good content. If you don't have fun at work, you're probably not going to, create as high numbers and engagement and all that kind of stuff. So I just think it was a mismatch last year. And I feel like this year I'm feeling really good about it. I do think Sean Payton has this team on the right path and they're having fun, Will. And truthfully, I think that changes a lot of stuff. The culture around here is finally the fact of like, we can be a good football team. We can go out there and we can have fun and we can ball hard and practice hard. And we have this chip on the shoulder because everybody's doubting us. And I think that Sean Payton can instill that confidence in guys that are hearing that talk and say, no, we're going to prove them all wrong. And I think at the end of the day, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, the whole young and energetic thing is kind of cliche, right? But that's what the Broncos are. They are young and energetic. They don't have these whiny veterans holding them down. They got rid of Randy Gregory and Frank Clark and Jerry Jeudy. It sucked to lose Justin Simmons and Josie Jewell, but they were a big part of the losing in Denver for years and years and years. So I think it's easy to throw, Coach Prime hates the word culture. Well, I'll throw out the word culture. I think it's easy to look at this culture and say it's a healthier, more energetic, more fun culture than Jerry Jeudy, who's just constantly complaining 24/7, 365.
I'm totally with you. Justin Simmons, does he pick off Bo Nix when he comes in November? Should we place a coffee bet on that right now?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, good for Justin. I'm happy he's with the Falcons. I think the Falcons could make some noise. I mean, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, that's not a very strong division. They could win 10, 11 games and go on a playoff run. But no, I'll say no, that Justin Simmons does not pick off Bo Nix. It's hard to get interceptions in this league. Even though Simmons has gotten a lot of them, the odds would say that does not happen in November.
Okay, well, that's what I'm hopeful for. I see everybody in the comments that are saying, yes, I trust Sean Payton. I do trust Sean in this ownership. Love that, hearing it from everybody. Keep the comments rolling in, especially let's talk just tight ends real quick. Lucas Kroll is tight end number 1, right? Like, we're on the same page with this because it feels like we're not seeing as much action out of Dulcich. Adam Troutman, good dude. We are seeing him catch some balls, but it just feels like Lucas Kroll is the guy. Am I wrong?
Did we watch the same 3rd and 17 play last night to Greg Dulcich?
Did we see how many attempts that Lucas Kroll's had the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's preseason, right? I mean, Tyler Beatty's getting attempts too. I don't see you calling Tyler Beatty running back 1. So, no, I think Dulcich has done enough. He stayed healthy. He's looked good in camp. And the play on 3rd and 18 last night was like, and he got the 15-yard personal foul after it too. I mean, those are the kind of plays we did see in stretches during his rookie year. So no, I think Greg Dulcich is tight end 1. I think Lucas Kroll's a nice little number 2 option for Bo Nix.
Listen, I'm not on the hype train that Cecil Lammey is. I'll let him stay on that hype train. I just think, and I think we are going to see a lot of tight end action this year. I've actually, not that I'm a big fantasy guru person, so like, don't come at me, but I really do believe that if you got one open spot towards the end of it and you really need it, I don't think taking a Broncos tight end is necessarily a bad thing, because I do think we're going to see a lot of action out of all of those guys this year just because of what George Kittle and Travis Kelce and all those guys have done. Like, it shows if you can have that big tight end who can be a receiving tight end at the exact same time, it can be so beneficial for your team. And Sean Payton pays attention to what all of those playoff teams do. We've heard him talk about that time and time and again, and that's exactly what a majority of them are doing.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how the final 4 tight ends in the NFL last year were 4 of the best in the game. You mentioned Kelce and Kittle, throw in Mark Andrews, throw in Sam Laporta, and that was the AFC and NFC title game. But you said we're not giving a ton of fantasy advice. I don't hate your fantasy advice. Maybe get a Broncos tight end late. I'm just telling you, I would take Greg Dulcich, not Lucas Kroll.
I guess we'll see. We'll see how many attempts each one of them has by like week 3. We'll circle back to this conversation here in a little over a month. Javonte Williams obviously lost his 11 pounds, and I feel like it was still questionable about how he was going to look in the 2 preseason games. He looks fast. He looks really good. It's a name that everybody loves, and I think people want to see him succeed. So how happy are you when you are seeing him, just absolutely pound the ball?
Yeah, Javonte looked great last night. I tweeted we should all cut out the talkies, I think we'd all feel better 11 pounds lighter. And he needed to do it. I'm with you on that. Like, he needed to do it last night. We needed to see it. And I definitely thought, oh, that looks like 2021 Javonte Williams 2 or 3 times last night against the Packers. So, yeah, not only is he 100% on the team, I think he's the starter. I like Jaleel McLaughlin as much as the next guy, but I think Javonte sewed up the number 1 running back job last night and was really happy for him. And then right after he does that, Timmy Pats comes in and catches a touchdown. And it's just fun that we're at the point, cut down days in 8 days. You know that, Rachel. It's fun we're at the point where we can start putting guys in Sharpie on who's on the team. Javonte Williams, Sharpie, Tim Patrick, Sharpie. Thought to be bubble guys maybe a month or 2 ago. They're both definitely on this football team.
Quick question, because it was actually a debate in the press room last night. You know, just people having conversations. Our number ones for defense were obviously out there. The Packers, they didn't do any number ones. The fact that they got any first downs, the second straight guys for the Packers, were you at all concerned at where this defense lies?
Who was having these conversations? They gave up 2 points. And the 2
but
points
you still have to move the ball on him.
Zach Wilson taking a sack in the end zone. They got multiple turnovers. Jonah
Ellis.
Ellis.
We're just talking about the ones, though. We're talking first quarter. I mean, they played, 3 series? First quarter, that's it.
Jonah Ellis looks like a 1 to me. Jonah Ellis looks like a 1 to me, Rachel. He looks like he's going to be out there with Nick Bonito. So it just, I mean, 27-2, 27-2. And it's, oh my gosh, the Packers got a first down. It's football. First downs are going to happen. I think whoever was concerned about the defense needed to take a chill pill. But
Jordan Love did not look good in the joint practice. I will 100% agree with anybody on that front. But you don't think if he would have been out there in a regular season game that they would have scored a couple touchdowns on that Broncos defense last night?
Not based on what I saw on Friday. You mentioned it.
Joseph we're talking about. I love VJ. He's a great guy, but your trust can't be that high in the defense.
I mean, my trust isn't that high, but I can only go what I'm seeing with my own eyes. And I watched Pat Surtain lock down Romeo Doubs literally 6 feet away from me at practice on Friday. And then the defense pitched a shutout last night. I mean, they didn't give up any points. So am I saying VJ's going to Canton? No. But am I saying VJ's seat is as hot as we thought it was a couple months ago? No, I don't think so either. I think that seat has cooled off tremendously for the Broncos defensive coordinator, at least as of now.
Listen, I'm real high on our offense right now. They're exciting. The defense, I'm still just a little – I don't know what to expect out of them. Sometimes I'm like, they are the doggiest of dogs out there, and it's so fun to watch them. And sometimes I'm like, what are we doing out there? So we'll see week 1 in Seattle. It's when we're really going to find out, right? That's when everything gets rolled.
But it's Monday, and they played great on Sunday, and they played great on Friday. I can only go on what have you done for me lately. And what they've done for me lately is they dominated a team that was 1 play away from going to the NFC Championship game, and they did it twice.
If you had to guess one name right now that we didn't expect to make the roster that's moved up, who would you say?
Well, like I said, Timmy and Javonte are Sharpies for sure. I don't know. I was hoping to get more out of Blake Watson last night. I think he was a trendy pick. Didn't really show me all that much. I think his roster spot is in danger. I saw Mike Kliss on the broadcast had Jonas Griffith on the bubble. I disagreed with Mike on that one. I understand he may not start. That'll probably go to Cody Barton, but I think Griffith's done enough. I was glad when he got hurt that he was in the very next play. So to answer your question, give me Jonas Griffith. I think he's on this team for sure, mostly in a special teams role. But if Singleton or Barton go down, he'll be out there every single snap.
Fascinating. I did not. I was obviously in the press box, so I didn't get to watch any of the broadcast. Did you watch any of the No Fly Zone telebroadcast?
I just saw some clips that got cut up and went viral on Twitter. I mean, Aqib Talib's energy was awesome. That was great to see. They were telling fun stories. They were talking about the game against the Packers in 2015, the year they won the Super Bowl, where they absolutely destroyed Aaron Rodgers. And Aqib's like, that's when I knew we were nice. So, it was fun to see Aqib back in the fold. Always loved Chris Harris Jr. I'm sure it went well for them last night.
I got a good story to tell you about that Packers game, but that is not for everybody's ears, so we will do that after the show. All right, Will Peterson, as always, I appreciate you so stinking much. Thank you. And to everybody in the comments, too, I'm so glad we're all positive. Again, I'm just going through some of these comments right now. People are excited, and it is a fun time to be a Denver Broncos fan. Let's hope that continues. Third preseason game, obviously, coming up this Sunday. You got plenty more Coffee Break, Denver Sports Daily, Orange and Blue today as well. So make sure you come hang out with us 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 4 p.m. right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And we will see you guys all later. Bye, everybody.